What's up, guys? I just got done trying out Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was awesome. Now I get to talk with Jeff, who is the lead level design, and Aaron, who you might recognize. We spoke before. He is the narrative lead from the game. I'm just blown away right now. I had so much fun playing it. I'm super into the story, and I was really impressed with the levels, so I'm glad that we get to talk. The first thing that came to my mind is a question for you, Aaron, or maybe just a comment, but I'm noticing more and more already how important Dark Temple, the comic, is. I was not really expecting that, but can you talk about those connections vaguely without spoiling anything?
Sure. Well, when they decided to make the comic, we had a couple conversations with the team over at Marvel. They read through the script, and kind of they've extrapolated what we're going to feed to the audience kind of before you experience it in Fallen Order at that time. So everything kind of in Dark Temple builds towards a place where you're not spoiling anything inside the game, but it kind of prepares you for it.
Yeah, I mean, we were exploring some things today that I was recognizing from stuff that hasn't even come out in the comic yet, but I'm like, I know that's on the cover, and learning about, again, trying not to spoil things, but learning new things about the Force and stuff like that. I'm very intrigued by it, and one of the things that was kind of pushing back against me, I wanted to keep going with the story, but every time I tried to leave the first planet, there's just more to explore. So, like, how do you make a level that complex? Like,
I mean, it's a huge team effort. We've got a big level design team that's all really, really talented. But really, we wanted to focus on exploration in this game. We've got such a rich universe that I think a lot of people want to kind of dive deeper into. So, and the exploration style that we chose to do really fits with kind of our core tenet of becoming a Jedi. So you start out as Cal Kestis, and you're this Padawan that's a little disconnected from the Force. And as you kind of grow in the Force and reconnect with your powers, it unlocks different areas on the worlds you're on, and new shortcuts through the worlds that you're exploring, and also through areas that you've previously explored, and feeds kind of into the retraversal in that way.
It's really interesting how you called out that kind of you're learning new things about the Force, is what you said, which is high praise, which we'll take it. That's fantastic. And I think Jeff and I and our teams have very intentionally, and Lucasfilm as well, woven that into the experience of how we approach the different planets that you visit, where you don't just learn about the Force from a mentor or another Force sensitive or a Jedi master. You can learn about the Force from a tree or the wind, or different locations that you go to, or different environments that you experience. And Cal's journey and how he grows and becomes a Jedi is very much in tune with that kind of learning as well.
yeah, so again, trying not to talk too much about plot details, but what was it like to explore kind of, I mean, the new canon has done this a lot, just shown that, hey, the Jedi and the Sith aren't the only things out there.
Right.
How was it kind of creating something that was all your own?
Fantastic. Very exciting. I think what people will find is that we're telling a very Star Wars story, and we really want to cleave to become a Jedi, have an authentic Star Wars experience, and all kinds of buzzwords like that. But at the same time, we've been able to sort of step outside that boundary a little bit and kind of acknowledge that there are other traditions in the galaxy, some of which we're kind of maybe introducing in the game and in the comic.
Yeah, I mean, that's I feel like it's becoming a catchphrase at this point, but I keep saying, like, I want Star Wars to get weird, and like this is just different, and I like that this is kind of something that you can only explore in this game, at least right now. It'll probably open up new branches for storytelling down the line, but like that kind of stuff is so exciting. Back to Jeff, I am a huge fan of like the Uncharted games, Indiana Jones. I love temples and ruins and exploring things. What's it like building kind of those puzzles and stuff in the temples, but with the added use of the Force?
Yeah, so, I mean, everything we kind of design is about what our hero abilities are. So as a level designer, you kind of take your hero abilities and try to expand upon those and challenge those, and put things in front of the player to interact with the environment or enemies in different ways. So puzzle solving is one of those aspects where we thought Cal's got these abilities, these force abilities that interact really nicely with the environment, and you have to kind of, use them in clever ways. And we also use them in traversal and obviously in combat to just grow as a Jedi.
Yeah. You mentioned just exploration and encouraging that. I think you did a great job because, like I said, I was kind of in this, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to get a chance to play this more. I don't have to rush through the story. But and I just found myself, every little box I saw, I'm like, I'm going to go see what's in that. Like, I don't know, how do you do that so well? Like, tease it out. It just makes you want to go find every little thing. And I should also say that, like, we played this for 2.5, 3 hours, and like, I saw a lot of people just didn't even leave that first planet. I kind of forced myself to leave to see a little bit more, but like, these levels are huge.
Yeah, they're hopefully, people are just starting to scratch the surface. They are big levels. It's really a lot of iteration and planning and working together as a team in concert with narrative, with the artists to kind of make interesting locations that kind of surprise and delight the player.
Yeah,
definitely. Iteration is probably the most important ingredient, I would say, of game development at every level. Nothing's perfect. It's first go, and we just run it and play it and change it and run it and play it and change it. And so we have the same reaction you do of like, oh, I can't wait to get over there to get that chest. And then we've kind of found the fun at that point.
Yeah, it's like I just happened to have played Super Metroid again because it came out on the Switch recently, and I had that vibe so hard of just like, can't get to you yet. I'll be back. So last time we talked, you did mention that there would be more Inquisitors in the game. By now, we know about the Nightsister, so can we talk about her a little bit?
I don't think we can talk about her, can we?
You can talk a little bit about her.
We can talk a little bit about her.
I was going to ask. I was just like, I liked little details about, so we know she's in the game. We got to see that she has like her cybernetic leg now because she lost it in the comic.
Right.
I was just kind of curious, like, where has she been? She like disappeared in the Darth Vader comic, and now she's back, and I'm excited about it. But
yeah, I think she was getting her leg fixed. She was probably plotting revenge.
Took that long
on her fellow Inquisitors, kind of brewing up some revenge.
Yeah.
And now she's back and she's after Cal.
Uh-huh.
She's so different. I guess what we can talk about with the Nightsister, she's so different than the second sister. So each Inquisitor has their own ways and means, their own personality, their own backstory. And Masana Tide, who is the name of the Nightsister, is very different, where the second sister is precise and plotting and diabolical and intelligent. The Nightsister is much more of a wrecking ball, but she has this twist of this like sardonic humor and kind of like jovial nature almost, even though she's super cruel and a murderer. And she has this like empathic ability to sort of read her prey's intentions, which she brings to the play.
Mm-hmm. How was it going about, I guess, telling more story using the Force and Cal's abilities with psychometry? What's that like to kind of just build every planet that you go to?
So there's our big story moments and kind of our cinematic story that Cal goes through, and sort of those sort of high points where he and the crew or he and the environments he's encountering kind of trigger these spurts of growth or change inside him. And then there's sort of the small little drops, and oftentimes the psychometry, the Force echoes that he encounters out in the world gives the player kind of a window of insight into what happened there, or the story of a character that you might encounter in the game who's more of a secondary character, sometimes a primary character. And it's just a way for players who are engaged with that level of things, if you want to run around and see what happened in this ruined place, we want to kind of like have that story there for you to experience if you choose to engage with it. And that's where kind of echoes and scans, so BD1 can run around and scan stuff, and it adds to the data bank, and we kind of want to have that really immersive, rich experience for people who are sort of story focused.
Yeah, that's something that I know I'm going to eat it up, my followers are going to eat it up. There is so much detail in this game, there's so much lore, and I imagine you guys got to write a lot of it for especially like the new creatures that you encounter. Is that fun?
Yeah. So it was really cool getting to develop, our own planets that we're adding to the Star Wars universe. We explored some planets that we've got kind of a nice mix between planets that you've seen in other properties, or or other media and planets that we are adding. It's a good healthy split, and they both come with their different challenges. So Kashyyyk, for example, you want it to feel like the Kashyyyk that people know, but also hopefully have surprises around the corner and kind of more under the surface than meets the eye, and you learn more about that planet. Where the other planets are new planets that we're adding to the Star Wars universe, the challenges there are we've got more freedom to kind of define what those planets are, but at the same time, they need to feel authentically Star Wars. So even though it's a new planet, it needs to scream Star Wars as well, from the art to the gameplay to the narrative.
And going back to our creature cast, that applies to the planets as well. So these planets are all separated by hyperspace, right? So kind of that's been a constraint that we had, which is quite challenging for game development, but we've kind of turned into something that's pretty cool, where there's a totally different kind of like cast of creatures on every planet, because they're wildly different locations. You won't find the same creatures on Zepho that you do on Kashyyyk, for example.
Right, and I think that really helps just gameplay not become repetitive. Like, you get showing up on Dathomir, I was just like, what is that creature? Like, I basically just set foot on the planet and left. I'm not ready for this.
That was our intended experience.
Well, it worked. I was like, I'll be back for all of you. What was your favorite level to design, if it's one that we haven't seen yet, of the 3 that we know about today?
I like them all. It's hard to pick a favorite. Zepho has a lot going for it. It's a big, expansive planet with lots of reach reversal, and a lot under the surface that you might not notice at first, but there's a lot of depth to it.
That's the first planet I went to, and then I was like, I need to go stop on Dathomir. I wanted to progress the story a little bit, and then I looked over to my neighbor who was still playing on Zepho, and I was like, where is that? There's so much to explore everywhere. I don't think I have any more questions. It was a lot of fun. I'm super intrigued by the story. I was incredibly impressed with the level design. It's a lot of fun. This is exactly the kind of game I was hoping it would be. So
it's great to hear.
Cool, you guys did great.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We'll be out in stores on November 15th, so any day now.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thanks. Just take this.